So in our last lesson, we talked about how you graph absolute value equations. Now we're going to look at how do you graph an absolute value inequality. So remember from Algebra 1 that graphing an inequality is just like graphing an equation, except we use a dotted line for x is less than or x is greater than, and we use a solid line when it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Remember that this means that whatever is on the line is not part of the solution, and a solid line means it is part of the solution. So let's look at graphing this. First thing I want to find is my vertex, and remember that the vertex form, our vertex is here, 4 and 2. And slope is a 1, so we're going to up 1 and over 1. And we want to decide, do I have a dotted line or a solid line? Well, because this has no line underneath it, it's just greater than, it's going to be a dotted line. And then we've got to decide where to shade. So you can pick a test point to decide. I like to pick 0, 0 because there's a lot less work to do. So if I substitute in, I've got 0 is greater than 0 minus 4, the absolute value of that, plus 2. And then I would get 0 is greater than the absolute value of negative 4 plus 2, which would be 4 plus 2, which is 6. And 0 is not greater than 6. So what we do is we shade on the opposite side of the test point. So my solution then would be in here. Okay, and remember that it's a dotted line. So anything on that line is not included in the solution set. Everything in the shade is. Okay, let's look at this. So again, my vertex is 1 and 5. And we're going to open down because of the negative, and the slope is 2/3. So I'm going to go down 2 and over 3 on both sides. Down 2 over 3. I can go further, down 2 over 3. So here is my graph. Now it's less than or equal to, so I've got a solid line. And if I want to pick a test point to graph, if I pick 0, 0 again, because I'm lazy, right? 0 is less than negative 2/3. 0 minus 1 plus 5. So 0 is less than or equal to negative 2/3 plus 5. And that's going to be a positive number. So 0 is less than or equal to some positive number. I don't even need to go any further than that. That's true. So I shade on the side where I found the point, and that would be underneath my little eaves. Okay, so we're going to write the equation of this graph. Its absolute value. So remember, we have y is equal to a times x minus h, the absolute value of that, plus k, where h and k are our vertex. So I have my vertex right there of -1, -1, and I just put it in there, right? So y equals, we don't know what a is yet, x plus 1, and then minus 1. And if I want to make a true statement, I'm going to pick something within the shade, and that's going to help me decide if it's greater than or less than. Now I think it's greater than because it's shaded above. So let's test to see if that's true. greater than or equal to x plus 1 minus 1. So I've got this ordered pair of -1 and 2, and if I plug that in, 2 is greater than or equal to -1 plus 1 minus 1. So the absolute value of that is 0 minus 1, and 2 is greater than or equal to that, so that's true. So we do know it's greater than or equal to, and there is our equation, inequality. Okay, so today, hopefully you learned how to graph an equation, very much like graphing, we learned how to graph an inequality, very much like graphing an equation. Have a math-tastic day.